Alright guys, we're back for another painting tutorial. It's been a while, over a month in fact, but there hasn't been really any new release that I've been excited about to paint. Been waiting on this Kruleboy stuff and Stormcast stuff to come out, but in the meantime, the new Kill Team is going to be out soon. Pre-orders today, hopefully, when you see this video. And it'll be out in 2 weeks, so that's exciting. But yeah, I'm going to paint up this orc, and hopefully a video on the death core will follow shortly. But let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is take some Ork Flesh. This is the new base paint that released with Age of Sigmar 3.0. I really like it for orc skin, and with these new Kommandos, these are Ork Kommandos, I think having a lighter skin tone will be cool for them. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm just going to take this and apply it all over. This is this miniature's primed with Wraithbone. It kind of looks like, because my light is so bright, a lot of people ask me if this is really Wraithbone, not Greyseer. I promise you it is not Greyseer, it is Wraithbone. It's just the brightness of the light kind of washes out any of that sort of cream color. And the reason you might ask why I primed it in this and then I'm painting on with layer paint. Well, I'm going to be painting with contrast paint later on other colors, and so it's worth it to do the contrast primer for all the other colors, even though I'm not using it on this very first color. So I'm just going to go through and make sure to get all his skin green here. This Ork Flesh, even though it is a base paint, it doesn't have the greatest of coverage, so I always like to do 2 coats of it. So I'll do that first coat, let it completely dry, and then go in and do the second coat. And as soon as I've done that, and as soon as it's dry, we'll come back and do the next step. Alright, so we're back, and those 2 coats are nice and dry, and as you can see, we've got a nice pale green here. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to add some Plague Bearer Flesh to this. This will just highlight or shade our green a little bit, and I think in combination with the first paint it looks quite good. So we're just going to put that all over the skin, making sure it gets down into all the recesses. All the musculature he has is great for washing here. Make sure to get it down in between the fingers. Make sure your paint doesn't close while you're doing it. Right. And something else I'll mention, while you're painting the skin, make sure you get the back of his ears. I forgot to do the back of his ears on my first pass and had to go back and redo it. So then we just have this other arm here. And then as soon as we're done with this, we're just going to go straight into the next step because it won't interfere with this paint drying at all. Good. Alright, so there you go. There's our muscles and stuff shaded. Now we're going to go on to the pants. And for this, we're going to use Creed Camo. We're going to be using several shades of green on this guy, even beyond his skin. But we're going to put enough other detail and colors on him that it should still work out just fine. So this is going to be his pant color. We just want to make sure that we get it on nice and smooth. So that we don't get any of those nasty brush lines that sometimes contrast can give you if you don't put it on properly. But we are, as always, we are going for tabletop quality here. Battle ready, as Games Workshop calls it. Not going for anything crazy. Just want to get him ready. There we go. Good. Alright, and then we can go straight into the next color as well. 3 colors in one step, I know. So then we're going to go for Militarum Green. And this is going to be his jacket or his shirt, whatever you might call this part. Just being careful not to hit the green of his skin, since this is quite a bit darker. And right now it's going to blend in with our skin more than we would want it to in the final product, but the additions we're going to make later to it will fix that right up. So I'm just going to finish doing this coat of Militarum Green on the shirt, and then I'll let all these steps completely dry, and we'll come back and do the next one. Alright, our greens are still drying. They're not quite done yet, but we can go on to our next step. I was going to do a different step next, but we can do this one first, and I'm going to use some Black Templar and do his boots. Since the first green we did is the only one touching these, we can just go straight into this without any problem. Being careful not to get any of this black on the green of the pants, and not worried about the front of the boot here, because that's a steel or metal plate, and we'll paint that obviously when we do the rest of the metallics. So I'm just gonna do this other boot now, and then for real this time let everything completely dry, and then we're gonna come back and use a non-contrast color. Alright, and we're back with our green all nice and dry. So now we're going to go for some non-contrast paint, Steel Legion Drab, and this is going to be for all the straps on him, as well as his backpack, and basically anything else leather that we find. So we're just going to paint this in, trying to be careful of other things. We're going to use a dark contrast paint on the grenades, so if we get a little bit of this on the grenades, that won't be a problem. The dark will cover right over that. And honestly, we might actually paint the grenades silver first. We'll have to see. We will have to see. Just making sure to get every strap here. Oh, I noticed I didn't paint inside the buckle there with the contrast paint. I'll fix that up in between this step and the next. I did it on this one. I remembered to do it on this one, but not on the last one. But like I said, I'll fix it up in the next cut, and we'll be good to go. So I'm just going to switch over to the backpack real quick just to show you. We're painting all of this in here. These two straps that are holding this grenade on, we're going to paint those. The wrapping around the grenade itself is going to be a different color. And that's actually going to be the same color as this netting that we have here. But those two straps we will get. And then just make sure to get all of this backpack back here. Get these pouches that are on the side of the backpack. And then he's got a pouch right here that we're going to get as well. And the last detail that you might be prone to forget is just this above his helmet here. So we're going to get that. But yeah, I will finish this step up, fix that mistake on the pants, and then Alright, I think I got a little cut off there, but nonetheless, we're moving on now. Our brown is all set. And we're going on to Flesh Terror Red. And this is going to be on the grenades. Just to help them out a little bit. Make them get thrown a little bit faster. And I'm just going to roughly put it on these grenades. The ends are going to be silver, that we're going to do in a bit. But for now, I'm just going to roughly paint on this red. And I'm also going to do the case on the shooter in this color as well. So like I said, just roughly applying them now because all these little details are going to be silver later. But for right now, the red can be a little messy. And I think I'm actually not going to do the red on the bolter right now. I'm going to, or the shooter, whatever it is, not up on orc terminology. I'll paint the silver on that, and then in the break I will just put the red on this case, because I don't want to have to paint around the red as I'm painting the silver. So I'll do it that way. But I'm going to finish up these grenades. There's one here, and then this is kind of a stick grenade or stick bomb, and I'm going to put it on the end of that. So I'll do this. We'll let that dry for a little bit, and then we're going to come back and do the wrapping on the grenade. Alright, so we're back with that red dry, and I realized that I was going to do the wrapping back there and the netting, but I need to do the silver first because there are some small grenades or rounds for his gun or something under that netting. So that needs to come first. So for our silver, we're going to use Grey Knight Steel. And the reason we're using such a bright silver is because we're going to dull it down later with our washes. So I'm going to start with these mini grenades or rounds, whatever they are. And I'm doing this so I can just be messy with these, not worry about hitting the netting, and then come back and be nice and careful with the netting. And the netting is raised, has physical texture above these, so it'll be even easier to get that done. But I am going to carry on and do the rest of the silver while I'm here. So that's going to be all these fasteners that are all over this guy. Details on the grenades and such. His gun. There's just a lot of silver on him. And some of this may change to bronze later. But for right now, I've talked about this a lot before. I like to paint, I guess you'd say, more than I have to with certain colors. So that if I decide to not go back and add more colors, they at least have a color on them. If I just didn't paint them silver and said, oh, I'll come back and do bronze later, then I would have to go back and do some color on them later because the primer would be showing. But by painting them silver, I know that even if I never come back and don't paint them another color, they'll just be silver. All these fasteners, and I'll get these little screws in there. Get these. Also got to get the tips of his shoes. It's just a lot of little tiny stuff on this guy that needs to be silver. So I'm gonna carry on. I'll just go through real quick what I'm gonna paint silver. So obviously that. The bolter, the shooter, whatever. More connection points here. The tips of these grenades. I'm going to do those. There's some more of that here. There's some more connectors here. And then, of course, the tips of the boots. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do all the rest of that. And then once that's dry, we'll come back and do the next step. Alright, so we've done all the silver now, and now we are going to get to the netting and wrap on the grenade. So for that, we're going to use Rakarth Flesh. Not a very vibrant color, but it will take our wash that we're going to do next very well. So I'll do this wrap on the grenade first so I can kind of build up to that netting, because I'm going to have to be very precise on the netting. So I'll just get some of the, I don't know if you'd call them jitters, but get some of the wiggles out over here. So hopefully I can be very accurate on the netting. So here we go. A little too much water on the paintbrush, never a good way to start. Try this again. Just trying to go very slowly, not to breathe too much. Oh, I missed these connectors. Well, these connectors just became Rakarth Flesh. That's what that means. Sometimes it's good to go back and fix mistakes. Sometimes it's good to just adapt on the fly. Oh, that was a bit too much. It's alright. That, and then make these into Rakarth Flesh. And there we go. There's our netting. So, we're going to let all that dry. And then once it is all dry, we're going to come back with Agrax Earthshade and hit everything that is not the skin. And then we'll do a couple more steps after that, and then we'll be done. So, we'll see you on the next step. Alright, we're back. And we're ready to apply a wash. So, our first wash is going to be Agrax Earthshade. And as I said before the break, we're putting this on everything that is not skin. So let's try to remember that as I go and do this. Because I'll probably forget and just start putting it all over the skin. But the plan is to not. The plan is to get it on everything else. It's going to give us some nice warm greens on this top and these pants here. Kind of tie it all in together, but make it stick out from the green that is the skin. At least that's the plan. Things like this, we do want to get it a little bit on the skin, just in the crack between, in this case, the shirt and the skin. That's fine. We just don't want to be shading the skin completely. So right like that, just on the line there. Bring it in there. And the same thing on the shirt sleeves, which I'm going to get to in just a second. Oh, we got to paint those little stitches on his pants. I'll do that in a second also, but as I was saying, just want to finish the pants real quick, and then we'll get up to the shirt, and I'll show you what I mean again. Nice and shaded. Alright, so then on the shirt sleeve here, we're going to shade the whole shirt sleeve, but then get this brown right in the crack between the sleeve and the shirt. Just so we have some nice definition there. Make sure to get it on all the nooks and crannies here. Got the gun. Alright, so I think that's everything that you guys need to see. Just make sure to get this all over everything that, again, is not the skin. So I'll go ahead and finish this up. Let this wash dry. Make sure it's completely dry before we move on to our next step. But yeah, I'll once that's all set and dry, I'll come back and we'll do the next step. Alright, so we're back, and now we're going to go for some brass scorpion. And we're just going to do a couple details in this on this guy in this color, just to break up the silver a little bit. So we're going to start with the little cross guard, whatever this thing's called, on the blade here. And then we're going to do a couple details on the helmet in this color. So this piece right here, and then this kind of skull thing. Actually, yeah, we'll keep that. I was going to say maybe a different color for that, but no, I like it. We'll keep that. And then I think I'll just do this bolt right here. And then still a little bit wet in there, but I'm just going to grab the ammo inside here. Anything else we want to do? Yeah, I think we'll do just that bit and this bit of those. And maybe this ring right here. Why not? Just to break up the silver a little bit. Alright, we're almost done now, to be honest. So I'm gonna let that dry, let the wash finish drying, and we'll come back and do the last couple steps. Alright, and we're back, and we just got a couple steps left. So we're gonna do 2 steps at once here. We're gonna use some Troll Slayer Orange and some Ushabti Bone. We'll do the Troll Slayer Orange first. And we're just gonna do a couple highlights on the red here. Nothing too major. Just some little edge highlights along a couple of the edges. They don't have to be super vibrant, since, you know, this orc would be, I'm sure, not cleaning his gear very often or anything like that, so just put some shading or some highlighting on some of these edges. And it doesn't have to be completely uniform either. Maybe the paint is just a little chipped in some spots, or the sun is just glinting off a couple spots, or whatever. Doesn't have to be anything super crazy. A little bit too much on that one, but not the end of the world. It'll be fine. So then we're going to take our Ushabti Bone here, and we're going to do the same thing, but on the leather this time. And for this, we just want to do little, kind of like stippling almost along the edge, just to show that it's a little roughed up. So I'm just going to go like this, along the edge. And this doesn't have to be everywhere, just, you know, in a couple of the key areas. So along like these straps up here, and then maybe up here. This again is just to give it the appearance that the leather is kind of worn down or beaten up or whatever. Just so there's something going on. So you just want to be gentle with your taps. Don't want to get too much paint in any one spot. And just work your way along the edges. I think that might be good. Maybe right here on the exposed edges there. That looks good. Alright, and then the last step that we're going to do is we're going to take some Ulthuan Gray. And we're just going to get this symbol right here on his shoulder and paint this in with this color. While I'm doing this, I'll just go through a couple things. You could obviously keep going. You could highlight all this green and go crazy with it. I'm not super concerned with that. I think this is a perfectly good place to stop, and I think will get you some excellent results, especially for tabletop standard. Blast this new Kill Team box out in no time. Hopefully this video is up on Saturday the 14th. We'll see if it is or not, but close to it, so pre-order should be live if you want to go get it. Another thing I should say, this box was not given to me by Games Workshop, not to me personally. This was sent to my local game store because they pre-ordered X number of boxes so that we get a promo copy when we do that. I'm painting that promo copy up so we can have it fully painted on the launch day. So while I guess I don't own the business, so technically the business got it for free. He hands it off to me. I paint it. Take that as you will. It's not sponsored, anything like that, just to get all that out of the way. But yeah, so there he is, all done, ready to go. Hopefully now you'll be seeing some pictures of him all based up. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching, and hopefully the Death Korps of Krieg video will be up soon, maybe Sunday or Monday. But yeah, again, thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.